Oh, sure.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was on the phone with them again yesterday.
I have a pen, I have pencils.
All right, it's 7 o'clock.
Thanks.
Ding, 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 ding. So I'm going to call,
Recording in progress.
Is it dark in here? Or is it
Thank
just
you.
me?
It is. No, these lights are on.
I'm going to call the select board meeting of Tuesday, September 27th to order. And the first item is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
I notice that there's an addition on item 5 by Eric Remsen with a request for a board letter of support for proposed construction of a bike pump track in Rec Park, which I'm going to be interested to hear what a bike pump track is. So is there anything else? Any other amendments? Other amendments? Then all in favor of the agenda with the one addition, signify by saying aye.
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 Is it this little?
Next is approval of the consent agenda.
I'll move.
Second.
Attention to order off to the right.
Oh, sorry. He's having technical difficulties. I'm trying.
I'm going to ask that we pull the coin drop item.
Yes.
So you seconded that, Andy?
I did not second.
And Lindsay.
I seconded.
We have a motion and a second then, and now we have a request to pull the coin drop discussion. Is there anything else? Anybody would like to either pull or comment on in here? You'll notice there's a pretty nice packet and information on the work that's being looked at, alternatives to our connectivity of the Boardman Street to the Hannaford Plaza. So that's in its infancy stages. That was part of what Jen had talked to us about last year, things that were in the future. And so they're starting to work on that. So with the one item pulled, all in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there anybody? I thought I didn't hear one.
No.
Okay, all in favor. So then let's take the one that we pulled out of that and do it now, or?
I don't think there is anyone here for that agenda item. I wonder if you want to delay that
Maybe
to
we
like
delay
number
it to-
12,
Okay,
where we have a placeholder so we can stay on track.
good call. Citizen comments. Is there anybody here for something that is not in the, on the agenda? Is there anybody online with their hand up? Ms. Weiger Groves is here, so her hand is not up on TV. So then we'll ask Eric to come forward and tell us what a bike pump track is.
You're gonna want to do this. You're gonna want to be on this thing. Yep.
Yeah, I Googled it and I didn't get a good look, but I was doing it on my phone, so.
So my name's Eric Remsen. I'm with the Middlebury Bike Pump Track Group, and this is George Lawrence, who's president of the Addison County Bike Club. So I guess let's start with what a bike pump track is. So it is it's a facility for bikers of all ages to improve their bike skills, and so it can be constructed either of kind of packed dirt or paved. In our case, we're looking to build one that's of packed dirt, and it has different elements, kind of mounds and rolls, bank turns, things like that. And so kind of bikers of all ages can get on it and kind of bike through. Sometimes they have like a route that you kind of follow. There's one in Bristol that has kind of a specific route that you follow through a loop. There are others where you can kind of choose your own loop depending on kind of your ability and your interest to kind of linked turns, rolls.
It
That
could
sort of
be,
thing.
it could be either a simple oval or say a figure eight or nested loops. So, you could go in either direction or, follow, make your own path, I guess is what Eric is saying in terms of how you choose to travel around it.
Is there a difference between this and the dirt biking?
So, well, this would be just for kind of, I guess, for
Bicycles.
not for bikes, not, yeah. And I think a dirt bike one, because of the speeds, I would imagine that it has to be a lot larger in size. This one, because they're kind of under their own power, they're not going as fast. It can kind of fit in a smaller,
Yep.
smaller area.
So our neighbors up in the Northeast Kingdom have a pump track at Kingdom Trails.
Yes, and yeah, so there are ones that are more local. There's one in Bristol, kind of at I think their rec park behind next to their skate park. There's a small one up at the Mooselamoo campground in Goshen. There's one that was built, I think, just last year down in Rutland. So there are a number kind of in the area.
They just built one at the, I want to say Richmond Elementary School as well.
And I think there's one over in Rochester as well that was built a few years ago. So so we're looking to build one here. These are things that again, in some ways, because you can kind of pick your route through it, it appeals to all ages. I think I would expect mostly kind of younger kids would be using it, but the designer that we've been speaking to has an interest in building one such that it also appeals to more advanced riders. They can kind of pick a route through it and enjoy it as well. And then kind of those skills that they kind of gain in the pump track, they can take out onto the TAM or kind of up in Mooslamoo, other kind of mountain biking trails in the area. And it generally kind of just makes people kind of more secure, stable, confident on their bikes. So we are looking to build this through grant funding. The Vermont Agency of Commerce and Community Development has a Better Places grant that is a crowdfunding grant. And so we are working on setting up a crowdfunding campaign to crowdfund a portion of it. And then if we reach kind of that, or when we reach that goal, the state then kicks in a 2-for-1 match based on what we've raised. And we're also pursuing a Vermont Mountain Bike Association naming grant. And so those two sources of funding would pay for kind of the design and the construction of the pump track. And we've had a couple meetings with Dustin and the Parks and Rec Committee and talked to them about a site in Rec Park. And they've identified a site kind of next to the pool that isn't earmarked in their master plan for the Rec Park for any other purpose that would that is big enough to kind of suit what we're looking to build. So that's kind of the site that we're looking at building it in. And so the other thing, I guess, maybe to add is with the Better Places grant, once that kind of crowdfunding campaign is successful, we then have 12 months to do to build the pump track, because the projects that they want to support are kind of quick build projects. And that's kind of the designer and builder, would build it at some point next spring, summer, within that kind of 12-month window. So we're looking for a letter of support from you to kind of share with the grant funders that would help kind of show that this has kind of support from the town. We're kind of also seeking kind of a similar letter from the school board, because the area that we've identified in the rec park is actually owned by the school district. So we need their approval as well to kind of advance this. And so we're kind of working on that in parallel, kind of with meeting with you tonight.
Okay. And we're Addison County Bike Club is also here to support to pledge our support in terms of ongoing maintenance of the pump track. And that we're one of 28 chapters of the Vermont Mountain Bike Association. There are 28 chapters throughout the state. And so we currently take care of the trails on Chipman Hill, Patel Woods, Means Woods, and when trees fall down or there are muddy patches, you're building little bridges and things of that nature. So, we would see this as part of our trail network, and a great benefit to our trail network, in that it's something to get little kids on Strider bikes out there to all the way up through experts who are going to try and wheelie through the whole thing. So, it can be a lot of fun for everyone. And so we have an interest in maintaining it and making sure it stays in good shape.
Okay, good.
And theoretically, you don't pedal on these things.
Well, that's the challenge. So yeah, if the reason it's called pump, and I'll stand up and try and demonstrate, you can weight and unweight on the bike. And if you push down or become heavy on the backside of the rollers, you can actually accelerate the bike without pedaling. So they're even professional races. Yeah, people who can pump through the whole thing and race each other without a chain on the bike. So it's
Sweet.
kind of fun to watch.
Cool. And Kathleen, as Dustin has endorsed this.
From the Recreation Committee.
Yeah, sounds like you understand that it's a kind of a we have an agreement with the school, but that is school-owned property, so.
Yep.
You're going through the process of getting that. So, any questions or thoughts from the select board?
I just had a question about ongoing maintenance, but it was just answered, so.
Yep.
Likewise, yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Pleasure of the board then?
Oh, just one thing. Who are you going to be handling your own finances for this, or is the town the eligible applicant for the grant funding?
We would handle kind of the finances of it.
I move to approve the letter of support for the proposed project to construct a bike pump track in Recreation Park.
Second.
Well, that was like a tie for sure.
I very seldom play.
The tie goes to Dan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's good.
Very
So
exciting.
we're
Good luck.
excited, more stuff coming to the town. Love it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
When your crowdsource funding is set up, Kathleen, can we put that in a town blast? So just get that information, you know, the email blasts that go out to people who have signed up, just get that shared with the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we have Victoria DeWind that has a hand up. About this. Hold on, don't go too far. I don't know. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, thank you. It may be too late. I was wondering if the pump track would be fenced to prevent bikes from drifting and creating ruts and whatnot in the baseball field? Or is it fenced to keep everyone on the track?
It's a long way from the baseball field.
Right. Yeah, no, we've, I think it's a discussion that we would probably revisit with Dustin, because I think the other concern that they brought up was soccer balls flying into the pump track because the soccer field is right there. So it's kind of something we don't have a solution yet, but it's something we've talked about in terms of bikes drifting and soccer balls flying in the other direction. So not sure what the solution is yet, but we're aware that that crossover could become an issue. So it's something we're thinking about how to deal with.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Victoria.
It actually looks like maybe just a fence dividing the soccer field from there as opposed to totally around them.
Right. Yeah, I think Dustin thought maybe some sort of net maybe as well, instead of a fence, some net
Yeah,
could be there to catch balls. And
okay. Next is appointment to fill our vacancy on the select board, and we appointed 5 candidates, or we nominated 5 candidates at the last meeting, and it's time to deliberate. There was some request to do deliberation in an executive session, and is that the desire? If that's the desire, then we need to have a motion to move into executive session.
Before we do that, are we asking for any more comments from people? Are we
If
just,
you want them, you can.
Judy had a couple of questions. Are we
Well, that was
addressing
questions of us. I'm happy to talk with Judy
separately?
separately on that. I think it's deliberation of the select board as to which of the 5 candidates. Judy, you told me the other day you were withdrawing, and then we got the letter, so I'm a little confused.
I thought given the last meeting, I went after withdrawal. No, I guess I thought, according to Crystal, that we had a couple minutes to ask questions.
We did that at the last one when we nominated.
I'm sorry,
We did that at the last one when we nominated.
but I got an email that said, you're welcome to comment if you want to ask questions.
She didn't clear that through me.
Well, no, I heard it through Crystal.
Yeah, she didn't clear that through me. That isn't my plan, so.
Oh, so I didn't need to be here.
No, you might.
You don't need to
We
be
always
there.
like to see you, Judy.
We're seating.
Kathleen's got placards ready to go. I
Yeah.
mean,
I
we're
have
moving.
placards ready to go.
Your name is on a placard. So somebody's coming up
So
here.
there's 5 of them here.
Yeah.
You might need to be here. Is the point.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I didn't know we had 5 additional name holders, so.
Brian,
We have
does
6.
anybody want to make a comment or is that? what are we-
Well, If people would,
I think people do.
I guess if people would like to make comments, I'd love to, we'll have you make comments. I'm not looking to entertain questions necessarily, but I mean, if that's what you want to, she's got it. Okay,
No questions.
so we'll go in order on my list here. Gary, did you care to make comments? Okay. Becca?
Come on.
So I'll give everybody 2 minutes.
2 minutes, sounds good.
Okay.
2 minutes. You can't hear anyone?
I just can't hear.
Is it okay for me to go?
You could sit over here.
I'm good.
My name is Rebecca. I think if you were to ask some people to describe me, I would be described as well-rounded, among other things. I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I play recreational field hockey in Burlington. I'm an active volunteer with the Middlebury Rotary Club, a musician, and sometimes I paint big, outrageous pictures on walls, with permission, of course, legally. I work in the IT department at Middlebury College, and I really love my job. If I was given enough time, I will talk anyone's ear off about programming languages, machine learning, cybersecurity, infrastructure. You get the idea. But it's not the only thing I like talking about. And I don't always like talking. I love listening to the discourse of someone else on a topic that they are passionate about. I like discussing ideas, planning, and research. I've watched a lot of the select board meetings and I've pored over the minutes. And I've come to the conclusion that Middlebury is a very unique town that I'm very happy to be a part of. And it's filled with unique people and pretty unique issues. I'm here as a nominee for the vacancy because I know how much I love turning ideas and solutions into concrete realities. Regarding the board's current priorities, I've struggled in the past with childcare and affordable housing. And in that respect, I can bring a degree of empathy, knowledge, and suggestions towards long-term solutions. For everything else, I can listen and learn. And I know that not everyone is meant to be on the select board. And I know for sure that a small board of people can't make a town of a little over 8,000 people happy. But I would like to rise up with the rest of you and accept that challenge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Easy.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm here again this week to talk just a little bit more about me. Last week, I talked about how I currently serve on Parks and Recreation and how that feels like it's in my sphere of change. As a health and physical educator in our school district, it's really easy for me to associate Parks and Rec with what I do in my day-to-day. But I'm looking for a challenge. I'm looking for something outside my sphere of change. I'm looking for something that can allow me to talk collaboratively about big topics that are going to impact me as a young woman, as a renter, and as someone who's looking to plant the seeds and grow here. Someone who intentionally chose Vermont as an out-of-state person, who chose to come here because I thought it was something that just I knew I needed to be a part of. So I'm looking to grow Middlebury, but I know that being on the select board is going to be a challenge. It's going to be something that I'm going to be taking a big step on. I'm going to be learning. And I just want everyone to know that in my heart, I love Middlebury. I am open to new ideas. I really pride myself on being able to bring a lot of different perspectives to a conversation, bring a table to a person so that I'm not speaking for them, but allow them to use their voice and their power to speak on behalf of the issues and the things that they love about this community. So again, I have a lot to learn. I'm excited to learn, but I'm also excited to speak my voice as a young woman and as someone who's truly and traditionally not represented on a board like this in Middlebury or frankly in any local town politics. So looking to change that demographic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judy?
I think you guys already know I want to know. Or need to know. But I guess there are a couple things. And my questions related to, I think there still is a task force concerned with diversity, equity, and inclusion. I would be very interested in assisting with that, either from the inside or from the outside. I looked at the notes and I think your last meeting was June of last year?
The task force has been meeting regularly.
Oh,
in
okay,
kind
because
of,
then it's not on the website, so I didn't, sorry.
We're in a
and-
planning phase.
Okay, but just was, interested in where all that was going and how I could assist. And it makes me very sad that Esther is not still a part of that because I could never replace her, but, and the other thing is having been on the infrastructure committee, and I feel so I've been on there, I think 2 terms, and I still feel like I'm at ground zero in terms of, I don't know how to grade a highway or grade a roadway or, whatever. But at the same time, I am so excited about our new
15 seconds.
person.
Don't freeze. 15 seconds.
Yikes. And that's what I also want to so much participate in, and also the budget, though I hardly can keep my own checkbook, so just so you know. I think I'm good.
Thanks, Judy.
Thanks,
I probably even had 3 seconds left.
No.
Ross, did you have a question?
A comment?
Comment?
Yeah, I would like to just suggest that in order for the board to be as well balanced as possible, that the select board consider a female candidate to fill the vacancy, so that it could be 3 female and 4 male instead of 5 male and 2 female in the end.
Your timing is a little tough, given we're going to have Rainwalker.
Ross,
Thanks, Ross.
also, we're bound by equal opportunity law, and we cannot consider gender when we appoint someone to a public position. Yeah.
Got your timer going yourself?
Should I step up or?
Please.
Sure.
So Rainwalker Winter Banter here. I presume, I'm sorry, I was scheduled for work till 7 before the meeting, before I was scheduled to be here. So I presume this is an introduction for candidacy for a short-term appointment to select board.
Yes.
Great. Has the Pledge of Allegiance or national anthem been offered tonight already?
Just not.
No.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start my time with that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the people for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible. I'm probably forgetting the words, but anyway, I'm loyal and I remind everybody that a nation is made up of people. I recommend we begin meetings here by reverencing the American cultural tradition. My grandfather is alive today, for example, because of a battalion of Black men who fought and died in tanks. One of my grandfathers was in the infantry and came back with post-traumatic stress syndrome. It's just important to keep that in mind in the current environment. I think that the biggest issue that we're dealing with is citizen integrity. What I mean by that is we want integrity, which is wholeness, okay? So if I'm on select board, that'll be the championship issue. What I mean by that is if we're voting for things like socialized healthcare, what we would expect, first of all, from our citizens who are left free to spend their own money is that they would be spending out of their own pockets for the healthcare of other people before it became official or legal. If you have the freedom to spend money on other people's healthcare, you do that first. And then if you still need more for some reason, or it's better, then you would socialize it for some reason. So if you're not already paying money out of your pocket and you're free to do so, for healthcare for someone, for example, who continues to smoke cigarettes, then it would be surprising to find that a citizen would then support socialized healthcare, where we're allowing people to, take healthcare from the socialized pool without first having
15
quit cigarettes,
seconds.
for example. Okay, so yeah, it's not very much time. By my clock, I have 23 seconds left at this point. So the other point to make is, if you wanted me on the select board, it would be more for leadership and less to amplify a voice that was already out there. It is important to make sure that those who want to be heard can be heard, and occasionally it's appropriate for an advocate to come forward and to clarify the ideas that someone might want to present. And I can do that if necessary, but really the Rainwalker candidacy would be more one of leadership, which is like shining a clear light that might be different from the majority opinion currently. I'll rest but stand for questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to make motions?
So I'm glad thank you for pushing for the 2 minutes, because we did last time, but everybody had something different to say, and so nice to hear. And thank you for coming. This is the first time you've been here present this year, or since COVID, I almost think, Judy. So we've had you present on the video. Can you not hear me? Okay.
It's a medical issue here.
Yeah, we need a headset for you.
Oh, I have one, and Dan delivered it to my house. It's awesome.
It won't help you here. It will not help you here, though.
Right.
So the select board has asked for an executive session, and I'm going to ask you to bring us into executive session. And just so you know, those of you who are here, we're just going to excuse ourselves up to a conference room upstairs, and then we'll come back. Okay? So you don't have to leave the room.
Can we leave them?
Sure.
You can.
Oh, okay.
You just can't follow us.
In accordance with Vermont's open meeting law requirements, I move that the board find that premature general knowledge of the consideration of a personnel matter would clearly place the select board at a substantial disadvantage, because the select board risks disclosing its negotiation strategy if it discusses the personnel matters in public.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I further move that the board enter into executive session to discuss a personnel matter under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1 of the Vermont statutes.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We are in executive
So
session.
it's 7:29.
It was a heck of a wrestling match, I tell you.
Dan's stronger than he looks.
He's older than he looks too.
Okay, a motion for exiting executive session would be in
So
order.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So after much discussion, it was, believe me, it was very deliberative. There's a lot of good discussion there. It's great candidates. We're very thankful that so many people came forward. But with that, we do have to appoint one member of that group, and so pleasure of the board.
I'd like to nominate Isabel Gogardi.
Appoint.
Appoint.
We nominated
We
them
are
last.
not. I'd like to appoint her to serve on the board.
Second.
Okay, and that's to complete the term vacated by Esther Charleston, which expires March 2023.
Yes, I could have read that down there, but I didn't. I moved to appoint Isabel Gogardi to the select board to complete the term vacated by Esther Charleston, expiring March 2023.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed. Really thank the others, and looks like Judy went home. But really appreciate everybody that has stepped forward and been willing to serve. And so Isabel, our town clerk's here to swear you in. And then I will ask you afterwards to take your seat at the board.
I just want to see that everyone will cry. Don't worry. Gary, thanks. Yes, congratulations. Thank you. I will raise your right hand. And do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll be true and faithful to the state of Vermont and that you will not directly or indirectly do any act or thing injurious to the Constitution or government thereof, so help you God or under the pains and penalties of perjury? I do. Okay, do you further solemnly swear or affirm that you'll faithfully execute your duties as an official appointed to the select board for the town of Middlebury, and will therein do equal right and justice to all persons to the best of your judgment and ability, according to the law, so help you God, or under the pains and penalties of perjury? I do. And have you sign here and here? All right, wonderful. Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks so much. Welcome aboard. Thank you.
So just as an aside, those who step forward and aren't already serving on a town committee, we would encourage you to volunteer for town committees and as a way to start breaking into the town governance. Isabel has been serving on the Parks and Rec Committee. And actually, there's others that were on committees, but it's exciting to see quality people step forward, and so I hate to lose the opportunity to maybe entice you to step forward onto a committee at this time. So, next item on the agenda is approval of the warning for the special town meeting and ballot vote on citizens petition on Vermont Gas Company's request for an easement to service 3 Mill Street. Boy, that right side of the table is awfully noisy today.
Kathleen put me next to Dan, so.
I'll take note of that and shake it up next time.
As noted at the September 13th Select Board meeting, Vermont Gas System has reported that their contractor was able to install gas service to 3 Mill Street without the need to enter the town's right of way, and therefore the company will no longer require the requested easement. However, because there is no provision in statute for the select board to rescind the notice, and just for the record, Ross did ask if that was possible, but we cannot cancel the town vote. So town council is advised that the board proceed with the vote on the citizens petition on November 8th. Draft special meeting warning for Monday, November 7th. 7th is in your packet discussion for any discussion or approval. Is there any question or did anybody have any changes that they would request to that?
I reluctantly move to approve the warning for the special town meeting and ballot vote on the citizens petition regarding Vermont Gas Company's request for an easement to install natural gas service at 3 Mill Street.
I reluctantly second.
And Ross?
So if the easement question is approved by the town, does Vermont Gas get the easement? Will it be given to them anyway, even though they don't need it? What's going to actually happen there? Even when they're not going to use it, they're going to own this easement? Is that what's going to happen?
The,
We won't do the paperwork, right?
we don't, the select board doesn't have to go forward with the easement.
Yeah.
I see. Even if the town voted to do it?
Right.
It will be a good indicator for you, Ross, whether it's something that the town supports or doesn't support. So,
Yeah, I know, I figure it might be beneficial for the select board. to know
well,
what-
for all of us,
where
for
the
all of
town
us.
Sits on,
Yeah.
for the future.
So for the board, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments on it?
Oh, wait, there's a hand up by Victoria Nguyen.
Hi, Victoria. Victoria, are you there?
Yeah, can you?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hear you now.
I'm a little concerned about taking the vote as an indication of town thoughts on this easement because the ballot is not being sent out with the state ballot that everyone is getting. You have to request it, and I would think that with people thinking, oh, it's moot, it doesn't matter, they're not gonna bother to request it, and we may not really get an accurate picture of the sentiments from that vote. So I would encourage the select board to keep in mind how many people signed that petition and think further into the future about policy on easements and if you can keep in mind to have a voter approval on easements in the future, the way the petition requested. So anyway, I'm just not sure that the vote is going to give you a really clear picture. So thank you.
Duly noted. Thank you. Next, we'll move forward to, did we just vote on that? We didn't vote on that, yeah.
We haven't voted, did we?
No, we didn't.
No discussion.
So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, now we're going to move forward. Approval of the notice for first public hearing on a proposal to amend the town's charter to provide for the appointment rather than the election of the town treasurer. So in our packets, a draft warning for the first of 2 required public hearings to take testimony regarding the board's proposal to amend the town's charter to provide for the appointment rather than the election of the town treasurer. A second version shown in the context of the statutory language is also in your packet. The public hearing is scheduled for Select Board special meeting on Monday, November 7th. Kathleen has updated the timeline of actions required by the statute that the Select Board must take in order to prepare for a town meeting vote on the subject on March 6th of 2023. And the second public hearing could take place either on November 22nd or November 29th, depending upon whether the board decides to reschedule its regular meeting. As you remember, usually on Thanksgiving week, we push it off to, or move it forward to the week before. So we could probably discuss that right now too. Is that our desire to move the meeting during Thanksgiving to a separate week?
It looks like we'd be moving to the one after this week because we have 5 Tuesdays or something like that.
So
So it would be the 22nd normally.
So the 29th would be the week after. Yeah, it's because this last Thursday is the 24th would be Thanksgiving. So the 22nd would be 2 days before Thanksgiving, and that's our regularly scheduled. Is everybody okay with moving it to the 29th?
Yes.
I'm fine between.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Does that work for
Kathleen.
Kathleen?
So that I did notice in the language on the draft warning, Kathleen. Oh my God, I should have written it down. Just scratch the, we say treasurer shall be appointed by the select board. Maybe it was in the statutory language one. Just to scratch the elected, it says the treasurer shall be elected, appointed by the select board. So it's just another word to be scratched out of there.
Which one were you talking about, Brian?
On the
On the
statutory language under the municipal charters
Mhm.
section, Title 24, Chapter 127, it says just the
The word elected wasn't stricken.
elected wasn't stricken. So if we're going to use this to vote on, we should just strike that too.
I'm sorry, Brian, where are you exactly?
It's the second link.
The statutory language.
Is this one?
The statutory
Yeah,
text of proposed charter.
Elected right there.
Is that elected?
Oh,
it looks like
305.
Yeah.
127, 305.
Ross.
That's what we call it.
Yeah, forgive my ignorance, Brian, what's the rationale for taking away the voters' power to choose the treasurer?
We've been talking about this for a long time, and we'd handle a lot of money. And we feel that should be a professionalized position that we interview and hire for, as opposed to that it be an elected position. Not that elected positions aren't professional, but we have a number. Our town clerk is an elected position and represents the people in the oversight within the town offices. As sorts, so we didn't feel we needed that position that's so critical to the function of the town to be subject to voter swaying it when hiring somebody and having them be able to not be unelected.
And moreover, when we hire someone that's working in our finance office particularly, we conduct a criminal background check, and which we would not be able to do in the case of an elected official.
Yeah, you don't have to read the Vermont news for very long to run into instances of elected treasurers making mistakes.
We've been very fortunate, but we feel that at this point in the town's development of governance, that it's probably a good time to make a change, given our bad luck with Jackie's health. And so it's probably the time to make the change if we're going to make the change. Are there any questions on this? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll move to approve the notice for a public hearing on Monday, November 7th, to take testimony on board's proposal to amend town charter to change the office of the town treasurer to an appointed position rather than an elected one.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Joe and Dana, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. For the benefit of those at home, I'm Joe McVeigh. I'm the president of the Illsley Library Board of Trustees and have been working to lead the Illsley 100 project team. And with me is Dana Hart, who's the library director. I believe that the select board members all have received a copy of our written report. And if you're not with us, you can get that by going to the town website and looking at the select board packet for September 27th. So our thought is that we would give you a quick overview of our report. And then we'd like to get your feedback on a couple of items in particular. One on how best to engage with the public on this project, and also some preliminary thoughts about the possibility of building on the EDI site, which has emerged as a possibility. So as you will have read in our written report, we've reduced our possible options to 4. So we're now considering 4 essentially different options. We're trying to avoid using the word design, because as soon as you say design, people start thinking, what's it going to look like? And people get very emotional about that. So we have 4 options, one of which is, what if we stay where we are, we don't expand, we fix everything that's wrong and renovate the existing building? That's our first option. Our second option is, what if we do something along the lines of the 2017 feasibility study by Gossens Bachmann architect, which would involve staying in the 1924 building, eliminating the additions from 1977 and 1988, and expanding, so renovating and expanding in the same spot. Our third option is if we is option A plus. So in other words, we would fix and renovate, and we would also add an annex that is not physically connected to the library. The Ben Franklin property comes up a great deal in conversation. We've been using that as a point of comparison, though it would not necessarily be the Ben Franklin building. And then the fourth option would be, what if we built a new library? And the site we've been considering is the lower parking lot behind the library, known as the EDI site, and then found an adaptive reuse for the existing Illsley Library building. So we've got 4 possible options. And to help us think about that, we've been working on refining what we, before we were kind of calling a decision matrix, now we're kind of calling it a site selection matrix, to help us think about various kinds of priorities. And that's what the project team is working through at the moment. We'll be talking about that at our upcoming meeting on Thursday. The matrix is not the decision. It's a tool to help us think about this, in addition to the costing, in addition to public input. And I just wanted to mention that one key component that we're looking at especially closely as part of that matrix has to do with the square foot program that was put together by Dana with the help of Judith Harris and Barbara Doyle Wilch, to look at what do we really need to make this library work at an optimum kind of level. And what that square footage program calls for is an addition of about 6,000 square feet to the current 18,000 square feet, so that we'd be looking at a total of about 24,250 total gross square feet. And this is very similar to the numbers that came up in the 2017 report. We want to thank the board for approving our request to pay cost estimator Henry Erickson to do a kind of order of magnitude or a ballpark estimate of what these various options might cost us. This, in fact, requires a great deal of information from Dana, and Judith Harris, again, has been helping with this for things that you just don't think about. If we were going to renovate and expand, we would have to deal with the issue that there's only one way to get out of the 3rd floor right now, and there have to be 2. So how are you going to do that? You're going to have another interior staircase. You're going to have an exterior staircase. You're going to go out to a landing. There's a lot of little things that to be thought about. And then the other thing is that the project team has continued to research best practices in library design and in architecture, both by reviewing award-winning designs that are available online. Dana's been great of kind of curating slideshows for us and showing us some interesting features. And we've also been visiting other libraries. Many members of the team went to the library in Manchester, Vermont, and others of us have gone elsewhere. I do need to make one correction to our written report. It was not Dan Brown who visited the public library in Banff, Alberta, Canada. I assumed it was Dan because he's always
Gallivanting.
I was going to say gallivanting. He's often broadening his experiences elsewhere in the world, but that was in fact Ken Perrine who visited the Banff library. So part of that research is reminding people and ourselves that the role of libraries is changing, and kind of a constant challenge for us is that some people of a certain generation still think of the library as the place where somebody is going to tell you to shush and there are books and you got to be quiet, and that's really not what libraries are about these days. So part of what we want to be able to do is to engage with the public to help them understand what's happening with libraries, that we're hoping to do more than just fix this building, but think about the library for the future. So Dana's going to talk a little bit about some of our plans for how we might go about doing that.
So as Joe mentioned, we've been grappling since the beginning with this question of community engagement. We want to be sort of sharing with the community what we've been working on, and at the same time getting input from them so we can make sure that the end product is going to reflect the community's needs. So the project team is really starting to think about how are we going to start off this engagement process, and this is something we'd love feedback from you guys on as a group that has a lot of experience with public meetings and engagement. We've been thinking about holding 2 public meetings. The first meeting would focus on the vision for the new library. So that would be introducing things like the vision statement that the trustees have. We want a building that's welcoming and accessible and safe. Giving a high-level overview of the square foot program that Joe mentioned, so another 6,000 square feet, but then really getting into the questions of what does that 6,000 square feet do for the community? What does it get us? What does it allow the library to become? And sort of explaining or listing and describing some of the new spaces that would be possible, and talking about the areas that would significantly expand. So the children's room, for example, would double in space. So trying to give people an idea of what the project team has been envisioning, getting them excited about it, and then giving them a chance to let us know what might be missing or giving us other feedback on that. The second meeting we're envisioning would be focused on we're not calling them design options. The options were the site selection options. So Joe went over those 4 options. We'd like to share those with the community along with the order of magnitude estimates, which Henry should be getting to us, and sort of explain the pros and cons of each, what each one would allow the new library to achieve for the community, and again give people the chance to give feedback and sort of sound out the community's excitement or appetite for each option. So we certainly don't have enough information to really be planning out that second meeting yet, but we feel like we have enough to plan the first meeting and start talking with the community about what we really want to achieve with this building. And so our sort of a general question for you, which we're not expecting an answer to tonight, but any feedback you have on this process as we're starting to conceive of it would be really helpful. And then more specifically, what sort of not oversight, but review should the select board have to make sure that you're all comfortable and familiar with the information before we're sharing it out? We have 2 select board members on our team, which is great. I don't know if you want to be more involved in planning these or review the written content beforehand or have a preview presentation, but those are things to think about as we sort of start to plan these out.
And I'd just say there are a couple of tensions at work here. And one is that, inevitably in a project like this, the people who are deeply involved start getting way ahead of everybody. So I think the project team is probably quite a bit ahead of the select board. The select board is probably quite a bit ahead in your thinking of the community. So we don't want to get too far ahead. But on the other hand, we want to keep the project moving along, right? We don't want to get bogged down. So one of the things that we're trying very hard to do at this early stage is to avoid, at this point, getting into discussions of aesthetics. You know, what's it going to look like? But kind of keep it more broad and more general. And it's a little bit tricky because if we're going to trot out a meeting and say, hey, we have this vision, you know, pretty soon people are going to start asking very specific questions that we may not yet have answers for. But we would just welcome your thoughts and insights on how we can do this. We've been encouraged by some members of our team to get out and share this vision because they said, you know, if the first thing people see is a dollar sign, that's all they're going to think about. You know, they're going to say, well, this is the cheapest option. Let's do this. We kind of need to get out in front of people what we're really thinking. So we welcome your thoughts.
When are you thinking about for your first meeting?
We've been thinking about early November, which is starting to feel like it's
Around the
coming up real
corner.
fast.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Like Joe said, we want to make sure we're pursuing a reasonable process and bringing everyone along, but we also want to keep things moving. So whether that's a realistic goal.
We want to be transparent with people and involve people, but we want to keep moving ahead. And if we don't do it in November, then we're into the holidays. And, you know, we're a couple months behind where we want to be.
It's probably a good time for a public meeting.
Definitely.
So just, I'm just thinking of it now. We already have a special meeting
Oh, November
on the
7th.
7th.
It's the night before the election.
And then we've got Thanksgiving in there. We've got, so we'll have a meeting on the 7th. We'll have a meeting on the
29th.
13th and the 29th.
Not
But we're not
37th.
doing the one on the 13th.
No, 29th.
So, and then I don't recall, I'm just thinking of it now and I didn't think about it before now to look at the budget timeline. If we have our budget, public hearings are in January, but there's some in
We have the public hearings, the meetings where the select board develops the budget are in December, then the public hearings are in
Okay,
January.
so those wouldn't impact the schedule as far as I'm just,
Yeah.
there's just a lot. So I'm just thinking
Yep.
out loud of when the best time to do it is. I
Do
don't
we
know
have
if it's-
3 meetings with this special meeting? Are we going to have 3 select board meetings in November effectively?
Just two.
2 and then voting day.
We're scheduled for 2 right now.
Okay.
November 7th and 29th, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking the 7th was the first week, so we'd have one the following.
Well, we'll look at the schedule again. One
Early November would be.
one of the challenges is that with the current meeting room in the library, we can't really have this meeting in the library
Yeah.
but with the number of people that would like
Possibly
to.
that second week of November then.
Okay, so we'll look at some dates.
The third week,
Is that the third week?
Well,
Or
because the
14th or the
it starts
18th.
on a Tuesday, so.
14th through
or
18th.
the end of the first week, even though Monday's.
Yeah, the second full week.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me clarify my statement.
All right, we'll take a look at available venues then. And, you know, as Dana said, we welcome any thoughts that you have or Kathleen, you know, on, we really want this to be a successful kind of launch of the project. So any insights or ideas that you have on how to make that happen, we would welcome.
So knowing that you're also considering a completely new structure, ask Kathleen to send out to the board, and this will be, we'll get it to you, Isabel. But the just kind of the different options you're considering, and so that the board could be thinking about their level of support for doing something along the lines of EDI, which we didn't shoot down, we just shelved, and how that might look. So I would ask the board to be thinking about that. I don't think it sounds like you need that for your first meeting, but we might have a discussion, depending upon how our, it'd be good for us to get them some guidance sooner than later. So maybe, we'll get that into when, we just got it to you this week. But we need to have some discussion at the select board level as far as if the board is supportive of that, so that it informs the work the library's doing. Because it would be counterproductive for them to do all this, have that come up to be the top option, and have the select board say, no, we're not going to do any.
Yeah, we don't want to put a lot of time, effort, energy, and money into a proposal if it's a really a no-go. So, what we would welcome in your discussions is, do you see this as a possible option? If so, what would be required? What kinds of steps would need to be taken? What might be some obstacles to doing that? Would it require a partner or a developer? Or we're talking about a library with residential units on top, maybe a public-private partnership, or would we just build the library? Or perhaps partner with another organization like community, some other organization. What kind of professional advice might we want in this process? And then, I think another question for us is, poor Dana, is making weekly calls to Plouffe, to repair the heating system or the sewage from the toilets backing up into the children's room. So we're on kind of a time crunch here, and so I think another question is, were we to pursue that option, how would that extend our timeline? And by how much? So,
go ahead.
So, a couple of things. Hopefully I can remember them all. First, on the first public meeting, I think it was something that was related to the downtown master plan, but my memory's going to fail me a little bit. But they had a meeting where they had maps out, and people stood around and walked around the maps and had conversations with each other and could put sticky notes down, I think, about ideas. And I would love to see some of that engagement where it wasn't just, sitting in a presentation and questions.
There was one here.
Was there was one here, and then in the
And the
old
town hall theater.
51 Main, right? Wasn't
51 Main was not that, but here we had the maps and they divided it into small groups.
all I remember
Yep.
is that it was more interactive, and
It
we
was
had a
very,
chance to
Yep.
talk with each other in the community about, like, somebody I may not regularly see, have a conversation about something they were thinking about. And then we all had the opportunity to put some thoughts on, I think it was stickies or whatever. So I think that was a pretty beneficial way to gather some information. So I was just going to suggest that. And then I just want to say I'm a little nervous about the EDI. I don't know exactly why, other than I kind of envisioned having a plan for that whole site before we made a decision, I think, of what we did with it. And if we move ahead with considering a library there without considering the rest of it, I think that's what makes me nervous about that idea.
Let me
Not-
throw something out on that. Kathleen and I just had a brief discussion about this because this is kind of just getting to my plate here. But if that was an option we wanted to consider, and this is where the board would come in, it may be the time where the town looks like we've got a master plan with ideas for that. And it might be the type of thing where we go back out with an RFP, as you've got an adaptive reuse. What are the ideas for that? You've got a whole, and look at it in totality as a large town plan initiative, so that it all ties together.
Yes.
It's not,
Okay.
and I'm totally in sync with you on that.
Okay.
But I don't want to
I don't want to.
sway your thinking too much as you think about it, but just, I think if we're going to do that, we probably ought to think bigger than just the library, and the board really needs to have some discussion
Yeah,
on that.
and I guess I just, didn't want to see you go too much further down that road without knowing that, for me personally, there's a little bit of uncomfortableness there, so.
And that's why the select board has to
Yeah.
give them guidance
Yeah.
soon.
Yes.
Yeah, we
and
need it soon.
The other, so we don't have to talk about that tonight, but the other thing too is in that proposal is the adaptive reuse of the existing structure, right? And one thing I would very strongly advocate for is the cost to do that be included in that proposal. What I really don't want to see from my perspective is what happened at the old wastewater treatment facility where it got left for years and years and years and didn't get dealt with. Like I want to have a plan that happens at the same time and know what the cost is involved. And so for me, that would be an important part of that, of considering that. So is that enough for me?
That's really helpful. Thank you, Heather.
Are there comments from the board? Okay, so I do want you to be thinking about that option 4 that they're looking at, and what is it that we would want to see, or what's our interest, and I think from my point, it's a viable option, but it does necessitate that the board get involved at a higher level, and Jen.
Yes, I think they've already talked to Jen some.
A little, yeah.
Yeah.
About
Has
this.
any of the rest of the select board seen what they did in Shelburne
The
In the library?
with the library and then the building that was like
Yeah,
the
we toured.
We
Yeah.
toured it.
We toured it.
it's like the original old historic building is in the front. It's
Yeah.
all renovated. It's a beautiful meeting space. I've been there for a meeting. And then the library is connected directly to it and it's a modern, and it's something anyway, if you get a chance to, if you haven't seen it, get a chance to go by and stop in and see it. I think it's
Yeah.
worth a visit because I would have never thought it would have paired well. Until I had been in it and seen it done. So.
Another thing is Farhad asked Kathleen to go back and dig up some of the materials from the next bridge proposal for the EDI site. And for those of us who are a little bit newer and didn't go through that process, it was illustrative to take a look at those materials to see a little bit on some different ways of thinking about that space.
That was embedded in the email I sent you today.
Okay. Yeah, I was out for a walk with my wife the other day. We were walking along the Cross Street Bridge, and I was kind of looking over there, and she said, "You're seeing a library there, aren't you?" I said,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Who knows? Yeah. Well, thank you all.
How's the little girl doing?
She's good.
Yeah?
She's talking, which is exciting.
Wow.
I mean, only Wilder and I can understand her, but it still counts, I think.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Is
Yeah.
Italian pizza still her favorite?
Yeah. And she goes like this, which means delicious in Italian. Well, you know, like,
Oh, yeah.
buono, delicious.
Wow.
Oh,
Whoa.
Yeah. So her cousins have taught her.
I love it.
Which is good. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
I think Ray Walker has a question.
Is there an opportunity for citizen comments? Questions?
I'm sorry?
Is there an opportunity now for citizen comments and questions?
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody, I'm ignorant, but this is going to be useful for people more than just me. But could somebody please quickly describe the relationship between the library and the select board? What's the link there?
Sure.
I'm ignorant.
Sure.
And I've got one other question.
Yeah. In Vermont law, there's several different types of libraries. Our library is a municipal library. The board of the municipal library is elected separately from the select board, but it's an elected board. And that board has the power to hire the director, has purview over policies, and approves the budget. So essentially is in charge of, I guess I should say, perhaps running the library. The building, however, is owned by the town. And of course, the library budget, the library is a department of the town. The budget of the library then is approved by the select board and approved by the citizens at the annual meeting. So in looking, so the select board doesn't really have anything to say about the way that the library is run. However, they have quite a lot to say about the upkeep of the building and potential changes to it.
Thank you. And if the momentum of either the current year or maybe more appropriately 2019, if the momentum of usage continues, who are your primary library users?
It would be difficult to pick just one group because we have such a wide cross section in the community. Young families with children and retirees, you could make an argument that those are the highest demographics. But teens, people co-working a lot now in the library, people experiencing homelessness, it runs the gamut. Yeah. There's something for everyone at the library.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There can be more for everybody.
Yeah, and if there isn't something for you, let me know, and we'll make sure we add it.
Make a building.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Next is a request for approval of private road name, Solitude Way is the request. It's at driveway easterly off Washington Street Extension before Painter Hills Road. In September 20th memo to the board, our town E911 coordinator Beth Dow reported that Jeremy Parker and Liz Parker, who own a property at 742 Washington Street Extension, are requesting to the private roadway leading to their house to be named Solitude Way. The Parkers have requested a change so they can post a sign marking the roadway as private and deter motorists from venturing down their driveway. Beth notes that Solitude Way meets the 911 naming requirements, and she recommends the board's approval. Thoughts of the board?
I didn't realize that the town was involved in private road naming.
If you're going to make it a road, not a driveway, I guess.
Okay, very good.
It's a nice road.
You've been walking out there?
No, I haven't been walking. I watch the construction. I pass by it every day. It's just, I mean, it's.
$1 million driveway.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
I move to approve Jeremy and Liz Parker's request to name the private roadway at their property located easterly off Washington Street Extension before Painter Hills Road, Solitude Way.
Second.
Been seconded. I actually think Lindsay got the second on that. She took it on the sly.
That was so quiet.
Yeah. So any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next is our opportunity to review / discuss the Vermont League of Cities and Towns proposed legislative policy in preparation for the town fair on October 6th. VLCT released a draft of its municipal policy for 2023 to 2024 legislative biennium and is encouraging the member municipalities, of which we are one, to review the legislative proposals contained in it in advance of the VLCT Board of Directors annual meeting on October 6th, when the policy will be formally adopted. As in years past, this is an opportunity for us to discuss the draft policy and any amendments that it may wish for Kathleen, our voting delegate to the annual meeting, to propose during the Board of Directors deliberations. There's different sections. The policy is attached. Any thoughts? Did anything come up this time? We actually didn't receive any letters. What's that?
So that was a big sigh over there.
Yes, that's a huge document. That is quite some policies.
There are a lot of policies here. For Izzy's benefit, the VLCT is a nonprofit organization that advocates for the towns and cities of Vermont, Vermont League of Cities and Towns. They're having their annual meeting shortly next week.
It's Thursday.
We're sending Kathleen, and she has our vote as a member municipality on what their legislative priorities should be. I am not in favor of the first of their K-12 education proposals.
Give me the numbers here.
Sorry,
Click on the link in there. It brings you to
where K-12 is.
Yeah, so K-12, 1021.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had gone too far.
Oh, yeah.
I believe in a statewide education funding system which has equalized per pupil funding across rich and poor towns. And this seems to be advocating that each town is entirely responsible for their own education funding. We have, a very expensive education system. We have one of the most equitable education systems in the United States. And this seems like a step in the wrong direction.
Any other comments on it?
On this particular item or the policy?
On this particular item?
Did you say 1.01?
1.021.
1.21.
Do you want to strike the whole thing or you?
That's the only piece, that's the only priority I do not approve of the.
So it's the voters' actions part
Yeah.
that you, okay.
I have a question. I'm wondering, the Vermont legislature just passed, I believe, Act 287, which is an equity education funding formula. I'm wondering how that impacts this as well. Because I know in their heads, they're trying to also come up with a more equitable solution for education funding. Is that impacted here at all? Is that going to impact town legislatures and municipal, or is that just going to impact school districts?
The town has very little to do with this. What we do is we say, VLCT, here's our priorities. Would you please lobby on behalf of these interests?
So if it's already decided, are they really lobbying much in this topic?
Area? I don't know.
I think it's a valid question what Isabel just asked, how does what was recently adopted, how does this fit with what was recently adopted with the changes trying to move to a more equitable? I do think that our education funding has gotten out of whack. The amount of money we're spending per student in some school districts is crazy, and that's based upon the way we're doing it. So I don't think we have the right solution. I would disagree with you on that we're doing it the right way. I don't have the solution, but I do think that it needs fixing. So
I think we're in a situation where we have the most equal funding per student, per equalized student in the state of any state. We also have the highest per pupil cost of any state, or we did recently, and slightly above average outcomes by metrics.
Yeah,
so there's a problem there.
There's
right?
a huge problem.
Highest and just above average.
Just above
that's not
average.
great.
That's not great.
So I do agree that our delivery mechanism and perhaps having 200 and however many disparate fiefdoms of our education system, which is the same size as one large city's single school board, there's issues here.
When I think that's what they're getting at is that voters can say, we just want to keep our school, and then they have to fund that school, and the school may not be cost effective for educating a student, yet those paying education taxes, now that's not equitable across the board either, because that's based upon income levels, not necessarily your property values.
Act 68, yeah.
And so I think that there are issues, and I wouldn't mind them looking into them. What they don't necessarily say that they have what the solution is here, but they say that it ought to be transparent. So I'm not necessarily.
Well, he's not arguing with the transparent part.
But I think voters'
I
actions should be linked. I actually agree. Voters' actions should be linked because voters can say, no, we don't want to give up our little school, all this funding, public funding is going to keep a school that might be educating 12 students. Is that appropriate use of taxable funds?
No, absolutely not.
Well, then you just agreed with what they're asking for.
I did not, though.
Yes, you did. I rest my case.
Brian, later after beers, I will withdraw my concern about this because I do agree that it's unlikely there's any traction on this in at least the next year of the biennium. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would like to express to them that we had this discussion. Like I would
Sure.
like at least like it to be on the table and some clarification of what they're trying to get at.
Yeah.
I think what's difficult for me in skimming through this whole list is there is so much here.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right. A top 5 list would be great.
yes, like what are they actually really prioritizing for the year?
Yeah.
You know, like,
And I will admit that I don't always read every email I get from VLCT. I know, right?
What?
Sorry.
Only one.
It's confession hour here. I think they are fairly clear about the legislation they care about and where their efforts are during the session. But this is a whole laundry list of potential causes.
Interesting. You bring up a good point. They do a nice like trifold, clearly identifying the top priorities for them in just highlight that. So that might be beneficial to help select boards really focus on the big picture.
Yeah, that would be
Everybody focus on the big picture.
Not a list of 200 items.
So getting right back into the granular, I just wanted to note that under public safety, there isn't, I had to find this quickly, anything on dispatch and funding dispatch.
Yes.
And it might be good for us to advocate for the
goodness.
state to address and fund dispatch rather than putting it back on municipalities.
that's a great point. I did not think of that. So I got hung
Not
up on
on-
this in tiny little section called commercial vehicles. So just so you know,
Where's that?
it's 2.04.
Can I just say that doesn't surprise What specifically are you hung up about it?
Oh, no, I just read that one in the most detail, the most.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Want to make
Yeah.
sure I was all good with what it said.
If you approve, we all approve.
I would like to see some of the money that the state, so I think it was the last one in that line. Would like to see some of the money that the state collects on oversized, overweight permits come back to the town. And also a statewide system for permitting and not the responsibility of the town, so. But that is such a small, tiny little, probably low priority item, just. I would put the dispatch thing much higher on the list.
Dispatch actually is number 1 under 303.
Okay.
Yes, I read it somewhere.
Where did you, 303?
303. A long-term systemic approach to financially support call handling and dispatch emergency services. So if these are in order of priority within the headings, it's there.
Okay, any, nobody got any feedback from the public? There's been years, no, hey. We have had years where there were things on here that we did get some requests from the public.
And that's why we started adding it
Very
as
good.
a specific agenda item, calling people's attention to it.
So that it's not just us looking at it, that everybody has an opportunity to see what the LCT is asking for. And some of the things that has been quality based and so if there's nothing that we're asking for other than really a clear delineation of what those priorities and what they're going to, because there is limited lobbyist time and funding and what they're going to actually push for the greatest. Is that what we're asking for? Okay, we're going to move on to our agenda placeholder, which is to bring down a discussion of the coin drop. Thoughts on the coin drop?
So it was unclear to me whether we even have any approval in it?
So
It's a V-Trans application, right?
you'll notice on the form that there's a section for the police department
Oh.
to sign off on. And the chief thought that this was a policy issue that should come to the board rather than him just signing off.
Did
Okay.
we have any opinion from the chief?
It was,
Did I miss that?
The chief said that he thought the board had approved one for Addison County Home and Health and Hospice last year, and that since they were planning on doing this, perhaps to go forward with it this year. But he did, like you, had concerns about public safety.
I mean, this is somebody with a bucket, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it
Yeah.
is?
In the middle of the road.
Right, and I mean, I'll just say that section of East Middlebury, like, there's no shoulder. I don't know where they're supposed to be standing.
In the middle.
Middle of the road.
Right in the
They
middle.
stand in the middle of the road.
Oh, between the
Traffic.
lanes. Yeah.
I don't think you go,
No, maybe I avoid them. I
So-
don't know.
In my experience, coin drops are usually tied to municipal events. You'll have, like, the volunteer fire department will have a bucket on the roads in at the Tunbridge Fair or at the Stowe Antique Car Show. And it's usually a municipal tied organization as tied to a municipal
but
event.
it's not always at those places. It can be
Sure,
at the entrance of downtown.
sure, it can be.
It has been before.
Okay.
I might be a minority, but I like those kind of drops. It brings back memories of like 20, 30 years ago. I like it when, especially the fire department, when they have those buckets in them, you feel like you want to give something. And I don't fear, like you had expressed concern, that there will be an onslaught of other people who's going to ask. I don't think that's going to happen, but
You know, I'm concerned about everybody now wanting to do this. And
that's what I'm saying.
now- And then we have to pick and choose. And then we deny somebody, you know, what rationale will we use to deny somebody when we've already approved somebody?
So we approved
Because we are
them
the
last year, you said?
epicenter of,
That was the chief's memory. I haven't been able to
We were-
verify that.
If we have approved something last year and there has not been an onslaught since then,
none of us remember it.
but chief said.
Well, Chief said.
I don't think it ever has come through us. Maybe chief approved one that because it can be signed off, but I don't think the select board, in my time on the select board, has ever dealt with this issue.
I don't recall, yeah.
I think it's a
So
safety issue.
the ones I have seen in other places and in the state of Vermont are usually like Andy said, it's a like the fire department or
Yeah.
the emergency services or, you know, like a municipal entity trying to raise money for something, not necessarily a nonprofit. Not that they couldn't do it as well, but it feels a little different. Like the firemen usually don't hold a bucket, they hold their boots.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you put money in their boots. Of course, I like the calendars they do too, so.
I like that. For some reason, just a visual of that appeals to me, especially if the fire department is doing it. I like that.
I searched the website for coin drop and it found our policy on it as well as this meeting. There's no other meeting notes which have the phrase coin drop in them of the whatever 6 years.
Found a policy?
Yeah, we got something in Highways and Bridges. Let's see.
It's,
I'm getting there. Hang on.
So
Hold your
that
horses.
would apply to town roads.
Probably.
This is state.
Yeah.
Coin drops. From time to time, municipalities will receive requests from charitable organizations to hold coin drops on town road. This fundraising practice, which involves a person standing in the road soliciting contributions from passing motorists, is regulated by 23 VSA Section 1056. Only not-for-profit and municipal organizations may conduct coin drops, and permission must be obtained from the select board before conducting a coin drop. The select board must ensure that the organization has liability insurance that provides adequate coverage for the municipality, and the board has the option of denying permission if it feels the coin drop would create safety hazards or undue traffic congestion. That is sub M of our town highways and bridges, chapter 10. of our town ordinances.
Wonder how old that is.
Oh, I'm thinking old. Let's see. No, not so bad.
I'm gonna have to read that whole thing again.
April 2006. This is actually the VLCT Select Board Handbook. This is not an ordinance. It's a VLCT document that happens to be on our website.
Oh. That's different.
It is different.
This is for,
VLCT covers everything.
They do.
what's
They
the,
got recommendations. They're willing to recommend.
this is for the 10th, October 10th?
What's special about that date? That's a Monday, isn't it?
That's Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Oh.
I mean, I guess I don't really have, I don't think there's gonna be an onslaught. You know.
Well, I oppose it, so. Just one vote.
May I look at the document there?
This one?
Yes, please. This is the application?
Yeah.
Is Addison County Home and Health and Hospice a governmental organization?
No.
You're a
It's a
nonprofit.
nonprofit.
Do we know what their, I don't remember what it said in the, does it specify what they're raising money for?
I would imagine for their operational.
Do they meet all of the required things in our policy?
In the VLCT model policy, yeah.
Yeah.
As well as not being on a municipal road. Right, they're on state.
It's on a state road, yes, a
State
state
roadway.
highway. And I mean, I'm looking at they're saying they're gonna do it by the speed sign, so it's actually a pretty visible, because it looks like it's right there by Wilmar.
I think,
It's also somewhat like shaming. I mean, it's almost like everybody's gonna, you're kind of compelled to throw money at it.
And in the era of parking apps on your phone, I at least keep less change in my car than I used to. I leave it in my pocket rather than in the little coin tray.
I'd have to throw my cell
Maybe,
phone in.
maybe you should start carrying,
Maybe I should. Yeah, that's right.
I think that less people with cash in their vehicles than there used to be.
Hey, some of us are still doing laundry. Come on.
You have all the coins.
I got a
We're
quarter.
gonna save our
There's
coins.
not giving it up.
Do we really have any way to say yay or nay on this?
So.
The chief asked us,
It
brought it to us.
says, the endorsement by the police department, the name of the department, has been made aware of the intended highway solicitation and requirements of 23 VSA section 1056. And we request that the agency grant, deny, or grant with the following conditions this application.
Can we say they need to have a visibility vest on? Something.
I would say even more than that. When you have those coin dropped, if there's not an event that's slowing traffic, we've had a lot of complaints on, I almost got run over just crossing over to what's the new
Flora.
the new store?
Oh.
Chartown.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, just crossing in the evening the other day. I couldn't believe this guy must have been doing 40
Yep.
coming out of the
You were
rotary.
You were lucky he was going the right way. Yeah.
And so I think having it's incumbent upon, if they're going to be in the middle of the road, that they do more than just have reflective vests on. I think they need to have signs further out saying coin drop ahead. And I assume chief would be going through that with them, but it's bothersome to me to throw people in the middle of the road in the way people are with the texting and driving and everything else nowadays.
The state statute says in part, approval shall not be granted by the local legislative body if the proposed activities or location would, in the judgment of the legislative body, create a safety hazard or cause undue traffic congestion. So that's the guidance to us in considering this on a municipal road. And it's undoubtedly the discretion we should use in considering the safety for the police chief's endorsement on a state road within our municipality.
Further to note that it's Fall Family Weekend at Middlebury College that weekend.
That's probably why they picked it.
Oh, boy.
I'm all for milking tourists. Yeah, let's do it.
How many college
I mean, my
families
living
are
off it.
driving on
125?
in East Middlebury?
So this is two-sided application.
Say at the end.
One is
Right,
at
right here.
Porterfield Road and Route
Yeah.
30.
Catch them going to the football game.
Well, I could see that on Fall Family Weekend, one location here, but I don't,
Well, it's also,
I guess just general
yeah,
leaf peeping
right.
season on a
Okay.
holiday.
We need to make a
holiday
decision.
weekend.
I recommend against the town becoming involved in this issue. I recommend, if possible, to allow the police chief to be delegated the question of safety. I mean, I think in general, it wouldn't be bad to, like, unless, if you really need data, you can run an experiment, but otherwise I recommend against getting involved in these decisions, especially for private charities. I would, if possible, I think we should recommend it back to the chief for safety analysis only, because, yeah. Seems like a lot of burden.
Safety hazard or undue traffic congestion are our hooks for.
Yeah, I
Special.
hear Rain Walker's thought on that, but if we don't have a stance, it could be, then as long as they were safe, you could have one there every week.
Right.
And I think we have to have some controls, or at least
Well, the chief has asked us.
he's asked us for our thoughts on it. And, you know, he could have, if he feels it's safe and as long as they have the safety, he could approve this one. And I think that we should give him some guidance, at least in the future, as to when and how many, for instance, how, you know, do we just, okay, maybe one a quarter or one or two a year or something like that. I do think it gets to be a little ridiculous to have a nice town and every time you drive into it, somebody's asking you for money just to get through on the road.
Yes.
So I think it has,
Now,
it's a greater issue as to what's the image of the town for me. And it's not whether it's safe strictly, it's what's the appearance of the town? You've got what's seen as a very, you know, this is a very well-heeled town compared to many towns. You go to Bethel and they've got a coin drop and it feels different than you come to Middlebury where you've got all new buildings and everything and you got a coin drop. I don't know.
I think it's a good point. I think there's a chance of a lot of blowback on this too. And we'll find out if you do it.
It's a little concerning that this particular organization is resorting to a coin drop to meet fundraising goals.
This is a health insurance supported organization too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I mean, as they also solicit municipalities, and we always want to make sure that they are fundraising beyond the property tax.
Well, being the Shire town and being the wealthiest town in the county, you know.
No, by no means.
County.
We have the largest per capita. We're much less wealthy than some of our neighboring towns.
That's probably true.
It's definitely true.
But the impression is we're well funded. I mean,
We have the largest tax base.
Right, and all the nonprofits. Well, a great number of the nonprofits are in this community.
Yes.
And I just don't think I agree, it doesn't reflect well on the community, I don't think. I'm trying to figure out anything I can get to say no on this, but that covers the bases. I say no. We're voting if we're gonna have a motion or something.
She's looking at the ceiling.
You're looking at me again? Like, well, what do I do?
I can't
wanna
sit
go
next
either
to Dan
way.
anymore. My only concern with what you just said too is like, based on what Andy read, can we, I don't think your argument gives, there's nothing in statute that your argument.
Character of town is not one of the hooks we have to deny this, right?
So-
We have safety and traffic.
Well, you have,
Traffic's enough. I still say no.
you have a very busy weekend.
Everybody's trying to get to the football game. Somebody's out there shaking a boot at you.
Everyone's looking at me now. What's up with that? Um,
Epicenter of knowledge.
yeah, it's very hard to vote
Okay,
against.
I have one against, one for.
I'm for.
Four.
I'm for it. I say
Okay,
it's
we're
a-
going for. We're on.
If there's a problem, we'll find out and then.
Yeah, we tried once.
Three,
and
do I
it
hear
didn't
four?
work.
Yeah, we're moving forward. Approval of check warrants for hot.
That's
I
Brian
did
Brendan.
the check warrant, everything seems to be in order, so I move to approve total expenditures in the amount of $664,551.52, consisting of $544,977.10 for accounts payable and $119,574.42 for payroll for the period of September 14th to September 27th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Board member concerns. This is an opportunity to voice something that's on your mind as far as what's going on in the community, whatever, anything. Isabel?
Here. Yeah, always glad to be here.
All right, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Dan,
I have nothing.
Heather,
Yes, Heather, what do you? Is it-
Farhad.
Maybe or maybe not. or-
I have,
No, I am so
I have
on the fence.
only one comment. Welcome to the board. Hope we get along fine and
Damn. Okay.
my daughters recommended her,
Yeah.
so that's what.
That's not gonna get her a good grade.
No, they're no longer in our grade.
Former students.
And-
I am glad to see paving.
Oh, yes. It was a
Are
smooth
you talking
ride
about
here
Washington
tonight.
Street or?
Yeah, Washington Street is going to all be at grade soon. It's very exciting. The large vehicles will be off.
By the end of
Back
this,
where they
week,
belong.
by the end of this week, we'll have all of the downtown
Yeah.
back to grade, right?
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you have any idea on
Doing the
Colonial
line
Drive?
striping
I
on
mean, it looks like they're gonna put in concrete curb.
They're ready to pour some curbing, yeah.
That's a nuclear
We're
disaster.
ahead,
That's what
yeah,
this is.
we're ahead of schedule on the Washington Street water line. I think that was originally slated to be completed by the 15th of October, so
Right.
the lack of rain this summer, I think, really helped keep that project ahead of schedule. I don't know that we can say the same for Colonial Drive, but
Yeah.
it's coming along, so.
Good.
Yeah, all the aggregate has gone somewhere.
I'll just say welcome to Izzy. We're very glad to have you here. And also it is apparently the last night of Rosh Hashanah. So Shana Tova to anybody who was celebrating tonight.
Oh, good catch.
Whoa.
Okay, we still have need for an executive session? No? Had one that was anticipated on here. I didn't know if you had some real estate news for us. No? Okay. Well, with that, we're 7 minutes late, but it's a lot better than it's been.
Adjourn.
I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Move.
All
I
in
move.
favor?
You did? Okay. I didn't hear.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Okay, I need a picture of the new board.